And Paul Rieckhoff, founder of the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. Paul, good morning to you. Thanks for being with us. I know the question is, are these veterans in such grave danger or worse? And what is the significance of having prisoners of war?
Good morning, Adrian. They are definitely in a dangerous situation. We know there are now three, and we should be surprised there haven't been more. We know that there are thousands of American veterans who volunteered to join the fight. The Ukrainian President Zelensky issued a call to the world and invited American veterans, Western veterans from all around the globe to join this fight, and many have answered that call. So we know of these three. They are definitely in grave danger. They should be treated as POWs. They were combatants on the side of the Ukrainian military. Now, Putin and Russia said they are mercenaries, which is a very different classification because he's threatened to kill them. This has created a whole new element of the war that is sad, that is harrowing, and is actually predictable. I think Putin's been waiting for a moment like this because of the propaganda value, because of the ability to influence the American public. He wants Americans to stop supporting Ukraine. He wants the West to stop sending military support, and having the propaganda value of three American veterans who are decorated, who have done heroic service for our country, could really push people in that direction.
With respect to these men's families, all three of them, they defied American governmental warnings by going to Ukraine to volunteer in this fight. Why do you believe there is such a number of former soldiers making this their own high-stakes mission? Is there something that we should be paying more attention to here?
I think many of us view it as the fight of our time. You know, I feel that call myself as someone who served in Iraq, who served after 9/11. We feel like the Ukrainians are under attack. It's been called a genocide, and many of us feel like our government's not doing enough. So somebody like Karpazi, who's rumored to be captured, he did 20 years in the Marine Corps. He was awarded a Purple Heart. He did 3 tours in Iraq. These are serious people who care very seriously about our national security, the global welfare of others, and the humanitarian stakes here in Ukraine. So, yeah, they defied their government, but they view this as a higher calling. And I have many friends that are there on the ground. I've interviewed others on my podcast. And this is really, I think, an untold part of this story that more Americans will find out about, sadly, because of the capture of these three and likely others in the days and months and even years to come.
So even with that heart cry to fight another nation's war, is this the right way to go about it, considering the stakes that obviously are to be had here? Possible capture, potential death on the front lines of Ukraine's war.
Well, they knew the stakes, you know, and they feel like they can make a difference. You hear over and over again from the wives and from the families that these are men who wanted to help. They have humanitarian skills, they have tactical military skills, and they didn't want to sit on the sidelines in what's viewed as the fight of our time. They felt like they could not only take Russian lives, but save Ukrainian lives. I think that's something I took away from my service. Everybody always used to ask me, how many people did you kill? They never asked me, how many did you save? And I think these three men have a proven record of wanting to serve their country and serve a higher calling. And for them and many others, this is that higher calling. And they're going to want Americans to pay attention. Despite what is happening here at home, Putin wants us to get distracted. He wants us to lose attention. He wants us to lose focus. And now we know Americans will pay the price for that as well.
Russia-U.S. relations not exactly friendly right now. What could be the possible strategy to try to rescue at least the two that we know are possibly detained?
I think our options are limited here. I mean, Putin's not a guy who plays by our rules. He's not going to abide by the Geneva Convention. He's not going to work with the international coalition. I know the State Department is working furiously behind the scenes here, but we can't send the Navy SEALs into Moscow if they take them across the line. This is a really dangerous situation that could go on for a long period of time. Putin's going to play this hand for all it's worth, and I think it's going to put President Biden, the State Department, and the Defense Department in a very difficult position. We may see this happen for other Western nations as well. So as we have this large alliance that's now standing with Ukraine, this is going to be a new phase of the communications, the information, and the hearts and minds war of this evolving war that's really become more bloody and more dangerous by the day.
Paul Rieckhoff, I know that you have a podcast discussing more of this. Can you just give people the link really quickly there?
Sure. IndependentAmericans.us. We've talked to a lot of these folks who've joined up, and you can understand a bit more about why they're feeling this call and hear their personal stories as well.
All right. Independent Americans on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. Paul, thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Adrian.
Absolutely. We have some breaking news from overnight. The British government has approved the extradition